YouTube, Vlogging Eric Experience here, and today my video is the fourth and final video in a series of response videos to reasonable questions for Anti SJWs. As I'm an Anti SJW, I've decided to respond. With all of that out of the way, let's begin.
What is the number of followers, the number of likes, the number of dislikes, the number of retweets, the number of subscribers, any of those numbers, any of those metrics, what have they got to do with the argument? Deepak Chopra, for example, a man who trots out an endless stream of pseudoscientific quantum woo bollocks, has nearly 3 million followers. So what? Those people follow him because he tells them what they want to hear. Why even mention the number of followers you have? What difference does it make?
Fame. That's literally it. I don't try to bring up the subscriber count unless they bring it up, especially since I'm a tiny little itty bitty channel with only a handful of subs.
Why is it that you go on and fucking on about safe spaces and trigger warnings and delicate little flowers, but continue to hide behind your cartoon avatars and your childish pseudonyms, and whenever anyone calls you out on your sexist, racist, homophobic, bigoted rhetoric, you become the argument of your own scorn and are hashtag triggered, as they say?
You can thank Atheism Plus for that. Anonymity is very important to some YouTubers, especially when Atheism Plus was still a big thing and white men especially were being flagged off of various places because of their genitalia and their skin colour. And it was the only way they could get their views across without being dismissed automatically.
Are you willing to publicly acknowledge and admonish the massive amount of hatred, bullying, harassment, and intimidation that a lot of your fans infringe upon people? And I don't mean these tiny disclaimers that you put under the description fold or flash for 2 seconds at the beginning of the video that you know nobody reads. I mean a public and ongoing anti-bullying stance. Or do you kind of like watching your fans go around harassing people and calling them slurs and telling them to kill themselves? You kind of like it, don't you? I mean, if that's your thing, and I guess that's just what you're into, just makes you a dick.
I can't speak for others, but if my fans start doing that, I'll call them out. I'll do videos calling them out like the Archfiend did with 2 fanboys that is all videos. I don't like it. It's one of the big reasons why I dislike Atheism is Unstoppable. I find him to be a major bully.
Why do you find it so hard to believe that feminists are being harassed online?
Oh, I don't find it hard to believe. I think the level is exaggerated, but to deny they get harassed at all, that's delusional. Everybody gets harassed. That is the plain and simple truth.
Do you understand the key importance of reproducibility and repeatability in scientific research? That simply going to Google Scholar, doing a 30-second search for keywords and pulling out the first paper you find that backs up your stance is not a particularly credible way to do research. That you have to have a much broader overview to read the material, to follow the citations through, to look at the broad brush approach to a particular problem. You do realise that you're as much of a social justice warrior as those you critique. It's just that you espouse a different form of social justice, a rather less considerate, rather less forgiving, rather less kind form of social justice.
And this is where we get into horseshoe theory, where the 2 extremes of a debate horseshoe down to the point where they act very similar to each other. One Anti SJW YouTuber I know does do what this guy says, follows citations and all that, is TLD. Is why his videos tend to be on the very long side.
If you identify as an egalitarian, then I'm interested in your take on the usefulness of the concept of the original position as laid out by John Rawls in his theory of justice.
Skip! I have no idea what this person is talking about.
As a supporter, as a proponent of freedom of speech, why do you want to quash academic freedom? If you're not familiar with the concept of academic freedom, it's worth, in the UK at least, looking up the 1988 Education Reform Act and seeing what that says about the rights of academics to put across unpopular opinions.
I personally don't want to quash academic freedom, as it does go 2 ways, but the problem is that the regressive left is a group crushing academic freedoms, basically trying to ban the right wing from certain areas of academia.
Why are you so obsessed with Anita Sarkeesian?
I'm not personally. I've made no videos on her, and I've made only a few mentions of her in my videos. In fact, I think in this video series is the most I've ever talked about Anita Sarkeesian.
Do you really think you can spend your entire life in a perpetual state of emotional immaturity? Do you actually imagine that you will be able to perpetuate your adolescence for your entire existence? Wait, didn't somebody else ask this one? Wait, I gotta... Ah, fuck.
What was that about? I think this guy was turning a question asked by an Anti SJW onto the Anti SJWs. No, I'm not going to try and perpetuate my adolescence forever, but admittedly, for an autistic person, even someone who is only mildly autistic, adulting is very hard. And that is the end of the video, and indeed the end of this series. I hope you found it interesting. Please rate, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great day, everyone.